Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. I hope you're keeping well today, and I hope you're enjoying all the lovely video tutorials, picture tutorials, and all the inspiration that you're getting from our lovely creative team. Again, we just want to share with you as much as we can using our new stamps and some of our stamps that we already have in our collection. And that's what I love about when Tracy comes up with new designs, that you will just look and you'll see what you've got in your stash already that can mix and match together. Now, I thought I'd come in with something a little bit different today, but as soon as I got the new stamps, this little creature, you see, I can't even say it, Thistlewhisk, you know I struggle with names. Tracy, can I have something a bit easy to pronounce next time, please? But look, I mean, isn't he just adorable? As soon as I saw him, I thought, do you know what? I just want to do some simple colouring. I just think he's so lovely. That's what I fancy doing. Now, you clever lot, I know you will take these designs, you're going to add things, you're going to use different products, and honestly I can't wait to see what you come up with. But I thought we'd just do this today just for something a bit different. Now, because I'm stamping on Kraft card, and these is actually one of, we sell at Lavinia 5x5 Kraft card cards and envelopes, and I've just cut my card in two, so I've got two toppers because that's just what I'm like. But for me, as you know, stamping's my weak point and I struggle on Kraft card. So not a problem. I've got my lovely stamping platform here. So all I'm going to do is pop my Kraft card on this lovely tacky mat. And I'm going to come in with my stamp. And I find it easier and it helps because my stamps are clean. Just to pop my stamp there, pick it up. And I'm going to come in and ink up with Pinecone. Versafine Clair, so it's a permanent ink. You know, I really cannot wait to see what you do with these lovely new designs, how you're going to use them. I think the way that they are drawn, you know, the detail, honestly, when you stamp them, you know exactly what I mean. Now, I know I can go in, and I probably will need to do 2 or 3 goes with this on a Kraft card, but I still like to leave the stamp down to give that ink time to soak in. You see, we've got an image, but it's not quite deep enough, so I'm going to come in again just with a second lot of ink. Now, you may get a bit of a wobble, I'm sorry. But there we go, we'll just add a little bit more. And again, just give that ink time to soak in. Yes, I'm happy with that. The detail there is fabulous. So I'm just going to give my stamp a little wipe. And what I'm going to do now is, using our lovely Lavinia Masking sheets, look, I've made myself a little mask and I just put it on the acetate. And I'm just going to add that just to little tummy here. Just because when I stamp the path, I don't want it on his tummy. And this is lovely. It's called the Twilight Passage. And again, I think this is going to be so useful. But I want this to go just sort of, again, I can place it just sort of there. Just check it straight. They remind me of cobbled streets. I must ask Tracy, this reminds me of that in York. There's a museum with the old cobbled street. I remember going there on a school trip many, many moons ago, and it just reminds me of that. Do you know, I love that about card making, designing, stamps. You know, how many things remind you of places you've been or times you've had. Just creating such lovely memories. I know quite a few of you are on your own, and I think to actually use products that evoke lovely memories and that just take you, I mean, crafting, I don't know about you, I lose time. I can come in my craft room, and especially if I just start colouring, you know, stamping, colouring, before I know it, Carl's coming in wanting to know what's for tea. Look at that, I love this. So if I just take that off, so can you see we've got that lovely path now around. So I'm happy with that. So the mask's going back on there. Take the stamp off, pop my protective sheet back on, and we'll put this, we'll file it under my table next to Mr. Eric, where everything goes. I don't know about you, but under my table, honestly, it's just covered. Now, I like this, but I felt I needed something else around it. So what I did was just got myself a little bit of copy paper. And we've got our fabulous winter foliage. And there's 4 different stamps on here, look. And I've just gone for this one. And I'm just going to give myself a bit of extra shrubbery. So what I'm going to do, we'll have a little bit in the distance here. And because this is in the distance, it's going to be smaller. So I'm masking off, look, and only using the top part. And I've used 2nd and 3rd generation, so it's quite faint, because that will help give a bit of perspective. So we'll add one at the front now. But this, I'm going to put them quite tall, use the whole of the stamp. And mostly 1st generation, a little bit of 2nd, but mostly 1st, so we can tell they're nearer. And then just in the middle, we'll have a little bit here, and that sort of in between. And it's a lovely quick way, look, of extending that design. What I will do is just give that a blot, because again, it's a slow drying ink, we want to blot it. But I think I love that vintage feel. Do you know what? I do wish I could draw. I would love to be able to draw this. I just think, imagine doing a children's storybook. I mean, you know, where's he going? Is he in the rain? Or is it a she? Is she going shopping? I love that you can take this design, dancing in the rain. I mean, you can just, honestly, your mind, like mine, you'll just be thinking so much you can do. Sorry, I just get so excited. I genuinely do. Now, colour. I've got my Mondeluz pencils. And I've gone for numbers 36, 131, 18, 1 and 29. For me, most important thing, my kitchen roll to lean on. Now, what I've found with the Kraft card is if I add a base coat of white first, the colour almost goes on better. Now, I don't know if that's just me. Now, if you have your own way of colouring Kraft card, you know, by all means, put a comment on, let us know if you've got any hints and tips. It's so nice that we can all share. For me, I just found some white first really gives me a base coat then to add more colour on top, and the colours almost sit better. So I'm just coming in with our lovely stones. And again, you will take your time. Do you know what would be lovely? If you stamped a few designs one afternoon, and then the following day, make yourself a lovely brew, maybe get some cake or a snack, and just come in and colour. How fabulous would that be? Now, I tend to keep my pencils in my hand, really, just so it's easier for me to use them. But also, I don't like to put them down on my table because I worry they're going to roll on the floor. Right, a little bit of pink just on his nose and his ear, look. And then a little bit of the light brown, just to add a little bit of shape, I'm thinking, under here. But I like that white tummy. And then what I've done with the black, I'm just going to give a little bit of shade, and then just under the shrubbery. And I'm almost going to just extend the design a little bit. So under the shrubbery here, And then just at the edges, look. And at the base, so Tracy's drawn on the stones where you've got that shade. She's put little dots so you know where that shade's going. Look, there we go. And just in the middle of the... And it'll just make those rocks on this passage look more 3D. Like I say, I'm going to do this quite speedily, but I think you could have a lovely afternoon just adding colour. So can you see how that's building up? So I'm just going to add a little bit of shade there. And then with the brown, I'm just going to give that next, so between that dark bit of the shade, I'm going to add a little bit of the brown. So almost like my pebbles will be dark, that black in the dark bit of the shade, and then we'll go brown and then into the white. And I'm just going to add a little bit. Like I say, you'll spend longer than me. You'll just sit, I know you will. And honestly, I can't wait to see what you create. Please share your designs. In our groups, we've got the Reach Out with Lavinia and Lavinia for You on our social media. And it's lovely when you share. And you know what? I always think it's lovely when we comment on each other's work. Because you never know, somebody might be having a hard day, you know. Something might have happened, or they might just not be feeling well, or a bit fed up. You know, we all have those days, don't we? And just by you putting a nice comment on their card, that could make all the difference. That could really turn their day. So I'm just going to come in now and add a little bit more white. And then on the umbrella, I've gone for blue. Now, again, you can colour your umbrella, whichever colour. I just thought blue, it contrasted nicely with the Kraft card. So, can you see how that's building up? And I love the way that white. And I'm just going to come in and add a little bit more. And just want to follow that down there. Just want a little bit more down his front. I like the fact he has a little white front. Yeah, that's better. I prefer that. So, as I say, you'll spend longer than me and just blend it beautifully. Just going to add a bit more darker in there. I do this, you know. I'm always saying, right, you finished, Joe, and then I'm like, are you still colouring? No, walk away from the pencils. Just for your little finishing tricks and to tie it all together, I'm going to use the Signo, the Uniball. And again, now a few of you have said you have trouble with this working, and what I found is because I lean on my kitchen roll, I find it useful to just dab it on my kitchen roll first. And I found, you know, it's like magic. It works beautifully if I do that. So we'll add some little highlights. And then just his eye, a bit on his nose there, look. And just here to shape that leg. A little bit on his tail. And then what I found is on the stones. So again, if it just stops working, it just means I need to pop it on my kitchen roll. It's almost as though it gets a little bit of the pencil on the nib. And if I just clean it, then it works, look. She says. You know, these things, they work beautifully until you come, as soon as you press record, it's a bit like if we're waiting for a delivery. It doesn't come all day. And as soon as I start doing a video, you can guarantee the doorbell will go. There we go. So just add the highlights exactly where you want. Now, what's I just thinking, the shrubbery here needs a little bit of something. And sometimes it's like with these highlights, I just stand back and have a look. And I just think, bit over here, just to balance, almost sketchy, as though I've done the drawing. Haha, sorry, Tracy, if only. So I've gone for my blue. my Posca, and to bring in the blue that's in the umbrella. So for me, I think whatever colour you do your umbrella, it looks nice if, could be sewn that, couldn't it? If you just add some little dots, and I'm just going to add a few up here. And for me, it just gives it that cohesive design. It just ties it all together. Now, I think this design, this could be a birthday card, a new home card. I'm going to put one of our lovely sentiment stickers. And I'm going to put walkabout, because do you know what? We're on a little walkabout. But you know, if you added some holly, maybe some mistletoe, this could be a Christmas design. Now, I'm just going to add some white Posca splats, just to add a little bit of something on the Kraft card here. Now, I know not everybody likes the splats, so if you don't, you just leave them off. It's your design. One of the reasons I like to do it is I have one of these watches on, and every time I do this, I get a couple more steps. But shh, don't tell Carl. So, just a few, just to take the whiteness, or the craftiness, I should say, off that card. There we go. I don't want to overcook it. I think that's just enough. And I have to say, I think you could make this 2 or 3 times. You could use different colours, maybe put something at the end here, change the shrubbery up. I mean, again, if you've got certain plants, certain leaves that are at your, wherever you live, you know, you could really make this your own design. And like I say, I really can't wait to see. So there we are on the 5x5, and there, I've just popped it on a 7x7. Just to show you. And again, I do find, you know, no two ever look the same. But that's the fun of creating, isn't it? So I can't wait to see what you come up with. Please, honestly, do share. We love to see. We get so excited at Lavinia when we see what you've done with the designs. So have fun. Enjoy the rest of your day. And you take care of yourselves. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.